to sit still, look pretty. It's been a hot minute, Priyanka.
That's right. After our Diwali episode, it's so nice to again connect back with you guys on another episode.
And can I just take a moment to thank everybody for listening to our Diwali episode, because it has been blowing up, you guys, and we are just so thankful for the support we've been receiving. It's been incredibly sweet.
So overwhelmed on like TikTok, on our Insta Reels, like be it the views or the comments and the DMs, I feel like, oh gosh, like it was so nice. I think that after such a long period of time, going back in Tamil and speaking in Tamil is one thing, but I think the fact that it reached out, because it was a very good episode for us. We enjoyed it, but it's always different, right? Like, content that you enjoy personally might not be content that reaches out. So it was nice. That it was well
that
received.
People felt the same way.
Yeah.
It wasn't just us having fun. But yes, thank you so much. And we're back this month with another jam-packed episode, wouldn't you say, Priyanka?
That's right.
And we are tackling the topic none other than the adulting mayhem. It is a transition from teenagers into the early years of adulthood. The mayhem continues to stay as adulthood is a puzzle to crack for the rest of our lives. I have to say, if you told me this is what adulthood looked like when I was 7, I would have been like, lol, she's trying to scare me. Because when I was young, all I fantasized about was being a grown-up, entering my 20s, because, you know, that's the magical stage where you get to be whoever you want to be, take control of your life, do whatever you want. Like, that's what I was waiting for. I was like, you know, my parents said I can't stay up past 10. I'm like, just wait till I'm 20. I'm going to stay up till 11. That's what it was all about, right? But now that we are actually in adulthood, tell me the actual truth behind turning into an adult.
Decision making.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you are the one in charge now. Like, that's what I guess we talked about when we were younger. We were looking forward to like being able to like make these decisions. But now when you get to make this decision, I start to realize how difficult it is, because like, even though the decision is on you, sometimes I'm like calling you up.
Yeah.
I'm calling like 5 people up in my life to be like, so what do you think I should do? But this is exactly what I wanted when I was younger.
Yeah.
To be able to decide, but you realize like all the complications that comes with it, right? Adulting mayhem is also the emotional aspect of it, right? People like me who feel for things very deeply at a deep level, right? I want to say like a lot of times you come into adulthood, your emotions is like something that, correct me if I'm wrong, we are exploring. You're going through a lot of emotions. You're experiencing a lot of different kind of things that you're feeling. A lot of times I feel we're going through a lot of different things, a lot of different emotions. You are at place venue A and you go to venue B, let's say, but venue A incident is still playing in your head. But unfortunately, I'm sorry, you're at venue B. Now you need to, like, for an example, like before this, I'm coming from home, but you don't know what happened
at home.
At home. You don't know who I had a fight with or whatsoever. But right now, the next hour, I have to do this. I'm here, seated down. So I really feel like adulthood is a lot of that, whereby like there's that distinguishing line, you know, there's your own stuff and there are also places that you have to report to. And then you get torn apart because it's like, so when do I feel the things that I need to feel? When do I rant? When do I cry about it? And that's where I realized that compartmentalizing is such an important thing. Like, an example, when I am at school, I can't be sitting down and thinking about like the problems that like I am facing, for an example, with like sit still, look pretty, because we have so many submissions and deadlines coming, or like because work now there's like a lot of things going on. Like, these are things that I cannot be thinking about when I'm at school writing a script, for an example, because that needs my attention right now. A lot of times I feel like we fail to compartmentalize. That's where you start to feel like your thoughts are everywhere. Sometimes it's as simple as you are at this particular place. Don't look at your phone. If your phone is going to be the one reminding you about, like, for an example, because our phones are constantly going off with messages and everything, right? If it's going to be telling you things about other things that you need to be worried about, don't look at your phone when you're in class. Like, give that sole attention to the thing that you are in. And I really feel like that helped me a lot with the adulting mayhem. Like, I feel like I was able to find my ground on a lot of things this year because of the fact that I started to compartmentalize. When it's not my time to think about it, too bad it's not the time to think about it. Maybe on your way home, when you're listening to music, then you give yourself that time to feel that emotions, to like run through that stuff. So I would say that helped me to get through the adulting mayhem. And like Priya mentioned earlier, it's never like a period whereby you solve this puzzle now and then that's it, your entire adulthood. There's so much more to come. Like, we are sitting down in this position today, but God knows where we'll be sitting down in 5 years' time, right? The problems that we will face with. So it's a constant like lesson to be learned. That's my tip and my example that I shared. What about you? What would be your tip and an example that you want to share?
Okay, so you talked about kind of grasping hold of your emotions when they are sort of overflowing, right? When they are very fresh and present and you're trying to compartmentalize and act according to the situation that you're in. I would like to talk about people who are lacking emotions, because I feel like it's about, when we enter into adulthood, there are a lot of situations where, you have to hold your composure, right? But some people take it home with them. Or at least for me, I've always found very hard to get in touch with my emotions because I've been so used to pushing it down all the time. So I'm always like, smiling and like kind of acting according to the situation that I'm in. But I take that home with me even when I go back home or when I'm alone. And I feel like a lot of people do, like, now it's become sort of a meme, right? To be so-called dead inside or like, not get excited about things like going out with your friends. I'm like, okay, like, do I have to go out? Could I? Or even like, even if you're staying at home alone and you're just Netflix and chilling, like, can you truly allow yourself to enjoy that moment? Are you going to be thinking about, maybe I could be more productive, or maybe I could do this, and where you're constantly keeping your mind in this so-called like composure mode, like where you're not really allowing yourself to truly indulge in any emotions that you're feeling. And I feel like the sweet spot is being able to balance both things, right? Holding your composure when it's necessary and allowing yourself to feel when it's okay for you to feel. So if you're at home and Netflix and chilling and you truly enjoy that, lean into those emotions. Do not sit down there and go, God, I should be doing more adult stuff. Maybe I should be managing my finances. No, which you should, guys. But maybe I should be, looking at what I have to do for my job. Maybe, and if you are truly enjoying that moment, enjoy that moment. Lean in to your emotions where it's necessary. So if you're at a work situation, be the professional that you have to be. When you're done at work, call your friend and talk to her about how much it sucked being there. How much of, all the gossip that you want to let her know, do it, I feel like when you become adult, it's always about preparing yourself for the worst, right? You got to be so that when it happens, it doesn't devastate you, right? Because you're never letting yourself truly enjoy the moment. So if something were to get even worse than it does now, you're gonna be fine because at least you saw it coming. But I have to say, when you hit those worse than worst moments, the moments that you're gonna look back on is the times that you didn't allow yourself to truly enjoy it. Because those moments are gone and you have stuck living your life in the middle. You've never had the experience of allowing yourself to be joyful and happy. And when I heard this piece of advice, like, I found it very helpful. So like, if you're adulting, yes, it's difficult. You have a lot of responsibilities. You have a lot of things that you have to look out for. There's a lot of things that you're balancing. There's a lot of things that you're figuring out how to balance. Do that, but allow yourself to experience emotions as they come, but do not run away from them. And that is my tip for dealing with adulting mayhem. I think you've received two perspectives, and I think two very good perspectives, because it's about balancing both of these to get the best outcome. Adulting mayhem can be said to be a wave. The high and the low goes on. It's always a ride and a journey. The key is to remember you are always moving forward despite the supposed mayhem.
That's right, because every day you wake up and you're still doing something about it. It might not be directly like with your problem, but you're still moving on, you know? It's still another brand new day. And I feel like that's something that we all forget when we are adulting, that we are always moving forward.
Talking about moving forward, let's move forward to segment 2. What's trending?
That's right. What's trending? What's trending is the fact that almost every single week I look at my Instagram stories and everybody's at concert and I'm like, boo! Because I'm not at a concert. But like, jokes.
If you find the time for a concert, Priyanka, let me.
That's true. That's a good one. But like, jokes aside, it's so nice. Live concerts are back, and like we are constantly seeing people at concerts having a good time. And for some reason, like I always feel happy to see people like thriving at concerts because. Come on, who doesn't love a good concert?
That's right. Oh my God, truly miss it. You have, I love concert, and it's so long since we've gone to one together.
Yeah, I was just about to say the same thing because Priya and I have a very good time at like any concert that we go to because there's always the pre-concert and post-concert. So pre-concert is us getting dressed up and taking a million pictures at the venue.
That's right.
Post-concert is basically partying out. Like after the concert finished, we are having our own concert at some other place.
But just to give a definition, it's not the kind of partying that you're thinking. Okay, get your mind out of the gutter. Me and Priyanka, very good girl.
That's right.
But we do have our fun, and we are very shameless when it comes to concerts.
Right.
Like if you see two girls just, shouting at the top of their lungs, just having the time of their lives, not giving a damn about what anyone else is thinking, that's probably us.
Yeah. And I just want to say, Priya, like I miss going concerts with you so much, and like I look forward to
soon. It shall happen when it shall, and I'm gonna have the time of my life when it does because I'm leaning into my emotions.
And like just to give you all an update, like some concerts lately that happened, the JJ Lin World Tour, All Love No Hate by Sid Sriram, Lenny's A November to Remember.
Ooh.
Like it just happened like in the month of November, and I was watching stories and I was vibing to like the music that people were posting and everything. But like contrary to popular opinion is this, like people think nobody watches like Instagram stories of like concert, right? I do. Like I enjoy watching it like because the music is playing in the background, and I enjoy watching it because I can't attend the concert.
Yeah, just vicariously living through the stories. Yeah.
But since we are sit still look pretty, we're gonna spill some tea for y'all. Not because we went for the concert. Let's talk about Sid Sriram's All Love No Hate concert.
I don't know anything about this.
All right. Let's spill the tea for Priya here who doesn't know about it. So basically, I'm pretty sure you know who Sid Sriram is.
Of course I do. And I know the concert happened. Yes. I just don't know what happened at the concert, ma.
Boy sings all kind of emo songs. We love him. I mean, our generation considers him as like that guy, that we all vibe with. But the thing is, something interesting happened during the concert. So for those of y'all who are not aware, like Priya,
ouch.
Basically, when he was performing, he abruptly stopped his performance because people at the front row, right, were talking and socializing. And then on the stage, he basically looked at them and he said, like, guys, like, I mean, of course, not exactly the same sentence that I'm going to be saying now, but something along the lines of like, guys, like there's a performance going on, like, can you all respect it?
Okay.
During the concert. And then it went viral on TikTok, on Instagram, because people were posting about it. And I feel like a lot of artists in Singapore who are singers, they actually took this opportunity and they put up Instagram posts saying that, many a times this is how we feel when we sing on stage and finally someone, of such a stature is like standing up for it and saying that like you're at a concert, like can you respect the person who's performing? But I think I kind of understand where this is coming from, especially for a Sid Sriram concert, because boy is singing emotional songs. He needs to feel it. So if you're sitting in the front row and you're like, hey, later we go and eat that masala vada.
Masala vada is pretty good, man.
You're ruining his vibes. Like, jokes aside. Okay, the thing is, I feel a little torn about what happened, to be honest, because I totally am like up for the fact that like, yeah, when someone, it's not even just like an artist who's performing, but like whoever is on stage, even if it's like a host that is speaking, it's so important to give that respect to the host and like be silent. But like, another thing that like made me really think about it is, we do not know what was the exact conversation the people were having over there.
So we do not know what happened in full.
Yeah, we don't know why they were conversing like during that period of time. So I feel like as much as we are all hating on people that are like who talk or socialize during like a concert, I feel like there is that benefit of doubt that you can give, because sometimes, how many times, if I'm being honest, how many times have I like leaned into you like during a concert and go like, hey, that song is like damn good, and like we vibe.
She doesn't whisper, she just screams.
Yeah, I scream at concerts. Like that also crossed my mind also, and I understand like concert durations are very long too. So like speaking about how long a concert duration is, like how can we expect like someone to stay silent for like that long of a period of time? So like these were some of the things that were also running in my mind at the same time. And like, I want to ask you, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to any sort of tricky situation, it's always about knowing the full story, right? And knowing both sides of the story. So we don't know, like it seems that, like you said, it's not been clarified what exactly the conversations were about. What kind of conversation were they loud? Is there any video of like, can you hear the conversation in the video?
No,
you can't. So it's a matter of fact of but I mean, this could have stemmed from, like I said, like a suppressive kind of episode, right? Where maybe it could have happened multiple times, and this was Sid Sriram was just having a bad day, and that could be also that. And he just felt like, okay, today was the day that I need to address this because I just can't take it anymore. Or it could be a situation of maybe they were really distracting. And because they are in the front row, they are just in line with his vision, you see. So if it was that distracting for the conversation to reach his ears or the noise to get to him, they must have been pretty loud. The idea is, or what I feel like we have to take away from it is, one, always be respectful to anyone who's on stage. Right. Show your respects. And if you want to have a conversation, just text it to them. Joking. Just like Priyanka said, lean in and whisper and not scream. But I guess maybe there's a bit more pressure when you're in front row seats, right? You want to be, usually when you're getting the front row seat, you are huge fans and you're completely,
so that's another thing that made me feel a little iffy. But like, honey, they are front row, so they are probably hardcore supporters also.
They are. So respect goes both ways.
But I also have to point out, I feel like Indian concerts are very different from like the English concerts, because we are like standing and screaming our hearts out for like a English concert versus Sid Sriram's concert. It's literally almost like you're watching a performance.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I also feel like being informed of where you are and what requires out of you, because this is not like a woo raving concert kind of a thing. You are like seated down. So I guess educating yourself also helps. But yeah, that's some tea.
I think the main takeaway when you're walking away from this controversy or this situation is that, like you said, having good social etiquette based on, the place that you're in, and being respectful to both parties, the one on stage and the one on the floor. or the ones who are seated. Yeah.
That aside, like concerts are always fun. I had a blast this year at the Script concert.
Yeah, it was in a freaking castle. That was so cool.
Yeah, so like concerts are back. Go and like enjoy and have fun. And I'll leave Priya to update you guys on some of the concerts y'all can consider going for or should keep a lookout for.
All right. So here are some concert dates that are coming up. Number 1, we have Maroon 5 World Tour on November 28th. I don't know if any of you guys are going, but I'm not. Then there's Keshi's Hell/Heaven Tour on November 30th. There's Boy Pablo on November 30th. There's Zookout 2022.
Whoa, Priya, let's go.
I don't know if I'm a Zookout girl, but I guess
always wanted to attend a Zookout. Like, I'm not kidding this. I always bring this up to Priya. I'm like, can we go to a Zookout like once? But she's always like,
To be honest, I've never gone to a Zookout either. But it just... okay, I mean, I guess I'm all for experiencing it once. But like...
watch her in December go like,
Actually, 2nd of December, we might have a recording. So... maybe we can consider the 3rd. Then we have Mayday Fly to 2022 on 3rd December. Oh, there's a clash. But are you going to be at Zookout? Are you going to be at Mayday? We'll see. Then we have the Regime World Tour 2022 on 4th December. Nikki Asia Tour 2022 by Nicole, which is unfortunately sold out. But it's going to be on the 6th of December. We have Clinton Kane's Maybe Someday It'll All Be Okay. Oh, I love the title. World Tour 2022 on the 6th of December. So if you didn't get Nikki's Asia Tour, Clinton Kane's one, maybe. Johnny Stimson, hopefully I'm pronouncing that name right. Johnny Stimson World Tour 2022 on 7th December. Air Supply The Lost in Love Experience 45th Anniversary Tour on 13th December. Then there's J Chow Carnival World Tour on 17th and 18th December. We have Magic Man World Tour 2022-2023 on 23rd December. And then of course we have last but not least, Don't Let Daddy Know Singapore on 31st December, closing the year off.
That's right. And hearsay, did you see that Taylor Swift is gonna go on World Tour?
Yes. Unfortunately, the Asia tour dates have not been released.
That's right. America is up first, right?
Yes. And if I'm not wrong, she's added more dates. I think 6 more dates as well. So, I mean, I can't wait for her to come to Asia.
I told myself that no matter which part of the world I am at, I'm going, Taylor. I've been waiting for you.
Hopefully, yeah, she's in your side by the time 2023 comes around. But yeah, like if you've not gone for a Taylor Swift concert, please go and have an experience. I always love her concert. I've never been to one, but I always love watching them because of the production value. I mean, let's give her immense credit as a singer-songwriter. But the way she produces her tours, oh my God, we love a good producer over here. So, yeah, check her out, guys.
And also, I want to take this time to say one more thing, that as much as we are promoting like people who are touring world tour, I feel like it's especially important to also give due credit to our local talent, Stefan Zakaria. He went on a Europe tour and he just came back.
So cool.
Chennai, he's going down to Chennai next for
a
tour.
Folks, it's time to hit Stefan up. Also an incredible singer-songwriter. You're in for a very special show.
I'm actually wondering, Stefan, this is to you. Why is Singapore not having a tour?
Yeah, you do know you have fans here who would very much like to. Now I have to travel all the way to Chennai for this.
But congrats, Stefan. I feel like local talents always make us so proud. Like you're from the brown community or whatsoever. Like pursuing your dream and passion to sing is always like a great thing, and we should always support music in general because feel good moments in life.
It's basically free therapy. So thank you, Stefan, and congratulations on your tour. Now it's time to finally move on to our favorite segment.
That's right.
It's the guest speaker segment. And today we have a very, very special guest with us. It's none other than Mrs. Revathi. Welcome to Sit Still Look Pretty, Revathi.
Yay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me here.
Before we jump right in, so if you're wondering who Mrs. Revathi is, she actually left her safe and secure job and is now currently pursuing a job as a senior financial consultant, which is her ambition. She's also the $1 Million Roundtable Award winner. She continues to win awards and be known to many as a successful financial consultant. She even does finance with Rev Reels on Instagram to promote the need to be financially savvy at all times. Let's find out from her how the adulting mayhem ride was for her, long before her dream job set in, as well as ask her adult questions relating around the sensitive topic centered around money. This month's episode, we are discussing the topic, the adulting mayhem, which shines light on the tough strings attached to the early 20s, managing finances, walking into a new job, and dealing with the emotional spiral. With respect to that, give us a quick preview into your early adulting years. When you were in your 20s, how was life for you?
It was really fun. So because I actually did my degree in Melbourne, and I was halfway doing my master's as well, but I had to defer it for personal reasons. After I completed my degree, I came back to Singapore and then I started on my first job. I was there for a year and then I moved on to my second job and I was there for another 5 years. And then I moved to my third job and I was there for another 2 years. So I guess basically my previous experience is mostly doing branding, communications, a bit of media relations as well. So that's what I did for, about 8 years of my life, 7 years of my life, around there. I guess I spent a lot of time with friends. Didn't really worry so much about finance. I was a very family-oriented person from the beginning. So I've always spent a lot of time with them.
Okay,
Yes.
was Revati a naughty child? Was she a good girl?
Oh, wow. Okay. I think I partied a lot.
I mean, that's what you have to do
The truth.
in your 20s.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So I also believe that there are phases in life, right? So in your 20s, you have to be doing that, enjoying life. And then when you hit 25, you're like probably into your first job and,
Right.
settling down. And then 30s is more about family. And yeah, so I actually am very glad that I did that during my early 20s because I can't do that now, with 2 kids. So yeah.
That's right.
So I did that. I did have as much fun as I could when I at that age. And then as I grew, I guess I also just fell out of the phase.
During this period, because after all, you are transitioning from being a student, you're stepping into like the workforce. So if you were to consider like your biggest challenge, what would it be that you felt like you're thrown into it and you had to overcome it?
So when I was doing my degree, after that I went on to do my master's. So my plan was always kind of to migrate to Australia, which is why I went there to study in the first place. But while I was doing my master's, my dad got sick. And then I had to come back and I was and then he eventually left his job because he couldn't work anymore. He was a sole breadwinner. So I kind of had to work. I didn't have a choice but to work. So when I went into my first job, I was a bit sad because it wasn't really in my plan, right? Like, to leave Australia and come back to Singapore and start working immediately. But it was one of those things that had to be done and I did it. I think one of my biggest challenges in my first job was just finding out the work-life balance culture in Singapore. It was very different as compared to Australia. Like there was a lot more expectations. The bosses were more stricter. Is that the right word? I don't know. But yeah, in Australia, when I had bosses, they were very laid back and you could do this and that. The culture was just different. I'm not saying everyone is like that, but that's what I experienced during my first job. So I guess socializing itself was very tricky for me to get into the groove of things like, being expected to work overtime, and not being paid for it. These kind of things were a bit new in that sense. So, I guess you learn a lot in your first job, even things like negotiating salary, for example. So, going for the interview. So, I guess all this was just different for me.
You had a plan in mind, that means when you went over there to study, so you wanted to continue to stay over there and work over there. So I guess this was so abrupt for you, right? It's like the plans that you have made to just stop and like come here. Like, how did that make you feel and like how did you come around it?
Okay, I was devastated at first, right? Because my plan was to settle down in Australia, which is why I went there in the first place. Okay, I didn't really take a lot of time to come around it. I made peace with it quite quickly because I also knew that my family needed me there, right? I couldn't really afford to, I didn't have the time to like just sit down and think about it or cry about it. And, I had to just hit the road running basically and, go out and find money to support my parents. Now I talk about it in a very joking way, but, previously it was challenging. I'm not going to say it was not. But then again, I guess with my personality, I'm not really also the kind to sit down and just think about, what could have been done, in that sense. I just wanted to move forward in life and, okay, this is my life. I'm going to be in Singapore from now onwards. My parents need me. My sister needs me. And this is how it's going to be. I just went with the flow.
So according to you, right, why do you think the transition into adulthood is a common trap that everyone fumbles with?
So I guess fumbling is okay because that's how you grow and learn. So that's okay. I guess why we fumble is because when we are teenagers and then we are like 20s and all that, right? A lot of our decisions, I feel, are made with our emotions. Like what we say, make with our heart, right? As we grow older, then we realize that some decisions actually you cannot make emotionally. So I guess I'm the biggest culprit for this because when I was younger, I used to make a lot of my decisions based on emotions. I was a very emotional person and, listening to emo songs and whatnot, right? Every typical what you do when you're younger.
Yeah.
But when you grow older, it's very, very clear that some decisions you can make with your heart, but some decisions you've got to make with your mind. So I think that's that transition period. Yeah.
Well said. I love it.
Yeah.
Now, traveling back in time, your followers have learned that previously you were working not in the financial sector, am I right?
That's right, yeah.
And then after that, you made the transition into financial planning. So could you share with us more details about this journey and how exactly you went around to make this bold shift and say, let's go and pursue our ambition?
So what happened is when my dad fell sick and I had to come back to Singapore, he already had done a bit of financial planning, as in he had a few endowment plans and few insurance plans, so on and so forth. So suddenly it all came down to me, and then he was like, okay, you have to surrender this because we do not have money for your sister's school fees. We have to surrender this policy, so on and so forth, right? So as I was surrendering the policies, I was also thinking like, is there more to this? Like, is this the only way to go about this? Just became curious about this sort of things in general. I guess that's when it started. Okay, it triggered. And then after that, when I used to do media relations work, I have to cut out these pieces of newspaper where they talk about my company, right? And also I read the newspaper at the same time. So there was a lot of business and finance news. And I always used to read about investors. I'm not sure if they still run the page anymore on ST, Straits Times.
I remember reading it.
Yeah.
They will always do a feature on the person.
Correct.
Yeah.
They always do a feature and then they'll be like, what house are they staying in? What car are they driving? What are they investing in? And I was like, what is investing? What is investments? Like, how are these people rich? Like, how are they doing it? So then I used to actually cut this and file. I used to file it on my own, even though I was doing a comms job. Yeah, I have a big file. Yeah, I was just very fascinated with money, you can say. Like, why are some people always poor and why are some people always rich, And then there's this in-between group where they are struggling, So, yeah, that's how my passion towards finance started. The reason I never left my 8 years of working the working world, corporate world, is because I needed the salary to support my parents. So to go jump into a commission paying job, that was very scary, right? Like, you know that income is coming in, you've got to allocate it for certain things. But after I got married, I guess that was a possibility because I managed to save a bit, and my husband was also like, okay, you know what, you try this and I'll support you financially. You just got to take, I've got to take care of my parents, but for my expenses, he was willing to support me. So I was able to take the risk, and also I saved. I tried my best to save, at least for the next 3 to 4 months to survive in a commission paying job. So I did that for myself. Yeah.
Commission job versus, like
salary.
like a secured salary, monthly kind of job. Which one would you say is the same
commission for the win? No,
Really?
yeah. Of course. So that's I like that question. So a lot of people think that self-employed, that means when you're on a commission job, you earn lesser than a salaried person. It's not necessarily the case. It really depends on how much of effort and work you're willing to put into your self-employed job, because you really run the whole show for yourself. So as long as you are working, you are disciplined, you are consistent, you know what you want. It's like being an entrepreneur, for example. Yeah, you just go out and you do what you have to do, and then the money comes in, right? Even though it's a commission paying job. For me, I personally prefer a commission paying job. I think it goes without saying because all my progress is on me. So I like that I'm accountable for everything. So if I don't do well, it's on me. If I do well, it's on me as well. I do not have to rely on other people in that sense or wait for a promotion in that sense.
Now that you spoke about like your corporate job and then you transition into your commission paying, what would you consider as, you stated how like your husband told you that it's okay, like I will support you. that shows that financially there was someone to back you up. But what were other hardships that you faced personally when you were doing this transition?
Okay, to save itself was very difficult for me because I still had to support my parents, you see. So I still had to bring in that 3K or 4K every month, at least for the first 6 months while I'm settling into the commission paying job. So to save that amount was a very, very big struggle because I was living paycheck to paycheck. So it was very tough. I took like maybe 1.5 years to save just 3 or 4 months of my salary for my parents because it was that challenging. And I also did part-time. Like I worked part-time, I tutored part-time. So every day after work, I'll actually give tuition. And then that was an extra source of income for me. So to make the switch wasn't easy. Even though my husband told me he'll support me, right? That was the last thing I wanted. I really wanted to be independent. And knowing that, like, psychologically it helps, right? You know that, okay, even if I really run out of money, at least there's someone who's willing to help out. But yeah, I think saving for my parents, I would say, was the biggest challenge. And of course, going into another world, like finance was something very new to me. And to learn, to do the exams, that was so challenging as well to study. So I studied while I was pregnant with my first baby. So that was stressful on its own as well.
Part of stepping into adulthood includes dealing with money matters, right? So the truth is, me and Priya and a lot of people at our age, we are very lost as to like how to even kickstart this process. For an example, you're talking about insurance. We are still at the age whereby we are looking at our parents deal with it and we are a little confused. So for those of us who are interested, like you want to start, what will be your recommendation as to how to go about it or how to educate ourselves?
Okay, first things first, since you mentioned parents, right? I think the first step is to go back to your parents because some parents are very savvy. Some parents are not. So go back to your parents, see what they have. Sit down and ask them whether they do have a person who's helping them with this sort of things like a financial consultant. Go through all their policies, find out what they have, like insurance, investments, endowments, whatever plans they have, how much they're paying for it, have they fully paid for it? If something were to happen to them, would you guys be taking over like those payments? So I think that first important thing is sit down with your parents and have that conversation. And then you will be like, okay, this is what my parents are spending on. That will already give you like, it's like sort of a stepping stone into planning your finances. Because we are the sandwich generation, right? So we've got to know what our parents are doing with their finances as well. Secondly, the question that you asked for yourself, right? How do you start learning about this kind of things? The resources that's available to us is so much, right? We have TikTok, we have finance podcasts, we have, oh my God, so much books. Start reading. And after you're done reading, once you have a very general overview of what insurance is about, what investments is about, even if you are slightly blurred, it's okay. I think it's very normal when you start going into a new topic. Sit down with a professional and do it up. And if you really get it, actually you can do it on your own as well. You can actually go on the websites and see what products are available. And then you can find the consultant to sit down with and actually have a chat with. Yeah, speaking to a professional is very important, but I also believe that gaining your own knowledge is also very important. So I think the resources for that are so much. It's just, yeah. I think last time there weren't any, which is why I had to rely on Straits Times to cut out articles.
But folder.
Now, I followed on TikTok so much of finance videos, Instagram. It's just. Yeah, it's all good. There's a lot of information out there. You can get started that way. Yeah, just read up.
What do you think is a good age to kind of start getting yourself well versed into financial matters?
The younger, the better. And first job. Once you get your first job. I mean, of course, if you are the sort that at 18 or 19, you're already starting your own business, or at 20, you already have a clear understanding, then you can just get started on your financial planning then. But for me, the rule of thumb is once you land your first job, you've got to start already.
You brought up how sit down with your parents and get to know. And for some people, this is a sensitive thing because, you are asking about your parents' finances. What would be your word of advice in terms of when sitting down with parents to get around this topic in a way that it doesn't spark?
I actually have very strong opinions about this because if I had that talk with my parents when my dad was employed, I wouldn't have had 10 years of suffering. right? Because I would have known exactly what he's doing with his money and so on and so forth, right? So even if it's sensitive, have a chat. Okay, how do you go about doing it? I think the way to start is if they are in their first job, maybe they can just go and tell their parents that, you know what, I've in my first job now, eventually along the road, there's somewhere I want to get married, I want to get settled down. I need to also plan my finances for that. How about you sit down with me and explain what are some of the things that you want me to cover? Is there anything you expect me to take over now that I've started working? That should naturally spark that conversation really. Because when you start working, I would expect some parents to at least expect $100 or $200. Oh, my child is working now, they have to give a little bit to the family, right? So ask them directly, what is there any bill you want me to take over? From there, you can move the conversation up along the way of like, what have you guys actually been paying for? Like, do you have any insurance? Like, if anything were to happen tomorrow, if you're hospitalized, is there someone I have to look for? Like, is there an agent that I have to go to? Or is it all covered? Or that sort of thing. Because this kind of conversations prepare us for emergencies as well, right? Yeah. When someone is being hospitalized, you need to know whether they have insurance or not. That's not when you are logging in with your SingPass and you're checking that, that's not the moment to do it. So I guess this conversation should be taken very seriously. It's one of my biggest regrets, like for myself. Yeah, not having this conversation with my parents because I only did it once disaster hit, which is not supposed to be the way.
I think a lot of us actually will fall into this trap because, you brought out how like these are things you should sit down and have conversations with. And for me personally, it hit me when my mom was hospitalized for the very first time. And it wasn't to do with insurance, but I can still remember the nurse coming up to me and asking me the question of, so do you know what are the medicines that your mom takes? And I remember I looked at her clueless and like that was my moment of like, oh my gosh, like she's asking about medicines, but like beyond that, like I feel like as a community, we have this thing whereby we always wait for disaster to strike or we find it like a taboo thing to talk about disaster. So it was very nice that you brought it up. Thank you.
Yeah, so speaking about taboo things, I was recently having this conversation with my friend. I think I must share it with y'all. So right now I'm at this point, like, because it hit us so hard, right? For the next 10 years, we were suffering and before I made my career switch and I could earn a better income and all that. So for me, it was that moment, like I said, when my dad fell sick. Now I have very, very difficult conversations with my parents as though it's nothing, like, So I have so this is again very taboo for Indian community, but I've even asked my parents, like, what kind of funerals do they want? Like, which people rarely talk about, like, what do you want to be dressed in? Like, who do you want to do who does the final rites? I mean, as taboo as it is, right? I think it's a conversation that you need to have because do not wait for that last moment. Then there are a lot of relatives coming in and having their own conversations about what to do. And I feel there's a point person who should know what is going to happen. This is the way it's going to happen. And it also makes grieving easier. So yeah, it's not only about finance, but every other important thing, like medicines, like you said, very important. Just go and have that conversation with your parents, even if it's difficult, or even if your mom says, don't talk about that, don't talk like that, normal, right?
Yeah.
But still go ahead and just have it. Like, just get an answer. Even if it's vague, at least you know that this is what they want roughly.
With the achievements in your life so far, what would you define as one of the most successful moments in your career, or even with finance or, career in general?
I think one of the most successful moments is definitely really winning my first MDRT. So it's called $1 Million Roundtable, where only top agents globally are recognized. So when I did that, I was very, very happy. So I've been doing it for 2 consecutive years already. Hopefully this year as well. But so I was very, very happy when I found that out because when I was about to embark on this career switch, when I walked into my boss's room, there was like MDRT plaques and all that. I was like, wow, the word $1 Million Roundtable is like, okay, I need to do this. And I remember the first day I stepped into office and it was icebreaker. I told them that I want to do MDRT. Like, in 5 years or 6 years, but I did it quite quickly. So I was very happy about that.
That is really, really cool. And we wish you another consecutive year of winning
thank you so
well.
much. Pressure.
I want to ask you about an advice that you would give to aspiring people who are looking to enter the finance sector. If there's one piece of advice that you'd like to share with them, what would it be?
If someone tells you it's going to be easy, they're lying. It's not. It's not easy. I think a person who's joining this industry, right, they've got to have all their goals aligned. I believe in that. You need to know what you're entering the industry for. Is it to help people learn about finance? Is it to make money? Is it to teach people about finance? Or is it to just teach about investments? Or is it just for insurance? There's a lot of ways you can enter this industry. A lot of things you can have in your head before you enter. You need to know what you're entering for before you even enter the industry. So that's very, very important, because when you come in with a mindset that, oh, let's just try it out, it's not going to work. That's what I believe, because then their goals are not really aligned. A lot of people also enter the industry for this work-life balance. It's very commonly used, right? Because when you're self-employed, you're your own boss, you have a lot of time. But the most important thing is what you're doing with that time. So for my first 2 years, I can safely say that I worked like past midnight. Like there was no work-life balance in that sense. But now I'm a bit more settled. Like I have a lot more time with the kids and all that. So if you put in the hard work within the first few years and you succeed, then the results come. Work-life balance does come, but you've also got to be able to do that for the first few years. You've got to have the discipline, the consistency, most importantly, the drive, the hunger to succeed. If not, it's challenging.
So what's next for Revati?
Okay, right now I'm actually just planning to move into my new place. So I'm packing up my house. That's immediately what's next.
Yes.
Okay. But I think in the next 3 to 4 years down the road, right, I really want to start a business, become an entrepreneur. I am still exploring my options, getting some ideas, thinking of what to do. Something I will embark on probably end of next year.
Revati, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. That was fun.
I had a wonderful time. Okay, we had a wonderful
Thank you
time
so
talking
much.
to you. I think it's so insightful what you brought to the table, and I think there's so much to learn from you personally.
I also have to say, it's amazing what you both are doing, right? It's so refreshing. Just look at this studio. I know podcast, you can't see the studio, but okay. But seriously, it's very, very nice. It's very fun. And sitting down and talking about things and just having a chat. It's almost like therapy.
That's the goal, actually.
Yes, okay. Yes. That's nice.
Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us today.
Thank you
really.
so much.
It's time to wrap things up here on Sit Still Look Pretty.
Before I go to the quote of the month, I just want to make a very tiny announcement on Sit Still Look Pretty that this is technically our official last episode for the year, because something very special is coming to you guys in December, and we can't wait to reveal more information about it as the time gets nearer for you guys. But we are wrapping it up here for the month of November.
Oh my God. It hasn't really clicked in until you just said those words. But yeah, look out for December. It's a good one coming your way.
Yeah, it's very, very different from our usual style. So that's something that you all can look forward to. The next time we sit down and have this kind of a discussion, it's going to be 2023 January. But I want to take this time to say thank you to someone really special to my heart, and that is Priya, the producer of Sit Still Look Pretty, because I think some of you guys are unaware, so I'll make the official announcement right here. Because of the fact that your girl here is flying off, we had to film 6 episodes / record 6 episodes in advance for Sit Still Look Pretty for 2023. And basically, long story short, I put Priya through a nightmare of a process.
Actually, we both went through a tough journey for this. But can I just say, I just want to take this moment to thank Priyanka and for us to be grateful to each other, because I feel like we've technically started this in 2022, early 2022, right? We had our first episode release in May, and the year is coming to an end. And since then, I have to say, Priyanka has worked harder than hard to give her best to Sit Still Look Pretty. And I feel like it's so much more. I always have a soft spot for her because she's struggling school on top of, this. And I can't imagine how hard it is doing your degree. And she's in the 3rd year.
That's right.
Okay, just double checking. And she's in her 3rd year, and things are difficult. She's got a lot of assignments, she's got a lot of projects, and and she makes sure that she gives her 100% every single time. And on top of that, now, we've had the dilemma of her traveling to Germany come into play. And, we could have easily chosen an easier option on the both of us, where we could have just finished the year off and said, okay, let's take a breather for 6 months, and then when she comes back, we go back at it, and that would have been fine, right? If that's something that you think it's okay to do, that's fine. But I think for us, we've waited so long to start something like this, and because one, we are having so much of fun doing it, and we realized how much or how important it is for such an initiative to be going, because a lot of the times the guests who come over always, say, oh, like, this is like the first time I've heard of a podcast like this, or this is the first time where, I've heard of a podcast who's shining light on the brown community in Singapore. So there is that gap, and that's what we are trying to fill up here. And a 6-month gap is just too much time for us to, not continue this, because there is so many faces out there that need that representation.
That's right.
And we need to do them justice, despite the fact that, she's still in the midst of her degree and she's preparing. And by the way, preparing to go to Germany, I mean, like, give it up for Priyanka, man. Like, she's still in the middle of it, by the way. But it's a long process, and it's a messy process. And on top of that, she still has Sit Still Look Pretty work, which I constantly chasing her for, constantly giving her
my
deadlines
worst nightmare
for.
is not running Sit Still Look Pretty, but it's being chased by Priya. It's like, where's my script? You told the guests in 3 days time we need to send her, and I'm like, sometimes I send her in fear, like the night before, because I know the moment I wake up, it'll be like, where's the script?
Good job, babes. You got it. You got the hint. I'm joking.
But yeah, like, as much as, you said that it's been tough, like, it's one thing, like, for me to want to run Sit Still Look Pretty and put out the best content, but I feel it's so important. Your co-partner, whoever is running basically like something that you're passionate about, you both have to be on the same page, right?
Yeah.
And I really feel like that's where my thank you comes out to you, because it's one thing to also gear yourself up for like 6 episodes. There's 6 people that you have to be in contact with, on top of the usual episodes that we're doing, on top of the December episode that we're going to be delivering something so special to you guys. So like, Sit Still Look Pretty, it's a full-time job.
Yeah,
if I may say so.
It's been intense, but I feel like it's a privilege that we are this busy and this like we have such little time to do whatever we want, because that honestly means we are, building Sit Still Look Pretty for the better. And it has been such a great journey so far. And I'm so, so excited to see where we take it to. It has been a hell of a journey with you. I mean, it has been a hell of a journey with you for the past 5 years, but I'm here to keep it going.
She had to add that. She had to be like, sorry, not just now. We have been suffering since a long time back. But on top of saying thank you to each other, I also feel like 2023 guests, we also want to say thank you to you guys. I think many a times when like Priya is contacting them, they are like, but it's in 2023, like the episode is in May, right? And we are recording now. But yeah, thank you so much for the understanding, for gracing our studio, for working with our dates also as much as we are working with your dates. It's been a privilege to whoever we will be talking to, and you guys will be seeing it. And we are very excited about the lineup.
We are so excited.
It's some juicy conversations coming for you guys in 2023, man. Yeah, and like most of the time we had to tell our guests, sorry, don't post that Instagram photo. Don't take that Instagram reel yet, because it's for next year.
And now,
yeah, closing note, right, for this episode. So I will bring in the quote. So here it goes. I hope I'm pronouncing the person's name correctly. It's by A. Dimitri. She writes, I cook rice the way my mother taught me when I was 10 years old. I peel my apples before I eat them because that's how my father did it. I watch movies differently now because a friend I haven't seen in 4 years once told me that every scene could have an implied message. And I enjoy hearing some of the father's jokes just because he used to tell me the whole way home. There are songs I can't listen to anymore because they remind me of the people I used to love. We are somehow a little part of everyone we have met in our life. And even if they leave, there are some pieces of them that are still inside of us as a home, a lesson, or maybe a story worth telling. It's kind of our choice now.
wow, that's a really good quote.
I loved it too, and I felt like this is one of the best ways to like summarize the topic on the Adulting Mayhem because of that last word. It's our choice now. So you decide what's best for you. You decide what tomorrow holds to a certain degree, of course. And that is the adulting mayhem. You will always have to decide and take ownership of whatever that happens after that. And it's okay. You can always figure things out as it goes.
You know, what a great way to wrap it up. I really love this quote. And like Priyanka said, you know, we are finally in that magical moment of being able to do whatever we put our mind to. And yes, external forces still come into play and we can't control them. But hey, we can control ourselves. And that's the key, right? So take your time, be who you want to be, work hard at it, and see where it takes you. Enjoy the journey. And with that, we have come to the end of Sit Still Look Pretty's episode. We will catch you with a new guest and a new cup of tea in the next episode. This is Priya
And Priyanka
on Sit Still Look Pretty, 'cause girl, you're more than a quick gaze.